Now then guys, I am currently rebarreling my AR-15, so I figured I'd bring you along for the ride, kind of show you how I do things, talk you through the process of doing it. If it's something you want to do, if you might want to do this if you're changing your handguard to something new, or just want to rebarrel your gun or whatever, or you just want to strip it down for maintenance or whatever it may be. There's a lot of info out there, to be honest, on how to properly install an AR-15 barrel and barrel nut. But a lot of it's contradictory in terms of torque and the way you actually torque it and kind of what lubricants and what have you want to use. So I'll show you the way I do mine. This is the way I've always done them. It works for me. It's nice and simple. So things you're going to need, obviously a barrel, the starters, AR-15. Mine's already stripped down. The old barrel's obviously off, the handguard's off. We're going to need a barrel nut. Now, hang on, this one here, that's your standard kind of AR barrel nut that you're going to get with most standard mil-spec builds. I'm using a Daniel Defense barrel nut because this is a Daniel Defense rail and it comes with a proprietary unit. And there's lots of others as well, lots of different types, but they're all essentially do the exact same thing. You'll get different tools for pouring them on. This is the Daniel Defense little C-spanner that comes with it. Tighten it up, you get regular wrenches and all kinds of things. So anyway, enough about that. What else are you going to need? Oh, you're going to need one of these as well. I'm on the gin and tonic because it makes me feel fancy. You're going to want a decent torque wrench as well to torque it up. And just all your other regular AR-15 tools. Actually got a hammer this time, not a file. Moving up in the world. Now, normally when I'd be doing this, I'd have my upper receiver sat in actual like a vice block, like a bedding block, something similar to this. This is just a lower. This goes in your mag well there. You can clamp that into a vice and it just holds the gun nice and firm. Trouble with that is I don't have the currently don't have the block for the upper to support the upper. So if I was to put this in here, the only thing that's holding that upper are them two takedown pins, which isn't the best when you're talking up a barrel nut. So I've got mine sat in a vice already clamped up. It's like I say, not the best way to do it. You really, if you're going to do a lot of these, you want the proper block for it. But that's just as good. That receiver's supported at both sides on the bottom and across the top in a nice pair of soft jaws there. That's not going anywhere. That's going to be able to withstand all the torque I'm going to be giving it tonight. So a couple of other things you're going to need: just a bit of rag or an old cloth or something like that. You're going to want some lubricant, whether that's kind of anti-seize or oil or grease or whatever. I'm going to use just some grease for today. That works well for me. Just some high temperature grease. It doesn't really matter, to be honest, guys. It's just to stop things seizing up when you're putting them on. There's all kinds of fancy products and stuff out there, and people always recommend one certain thing, whether it's an oil or whatever. Nobody really gives a fuck, to be honest. It's just to stop that nut seizing on there. Right guys, so we've applied a little bit of lube, a little bit of grease just around that barrel extension, also inside of the upper receiver there. Now, I know for a fact that this barrel extension will not fit in this receiver at room temperature because I have tried it before, and short of actually kind of pressing it in there, it will not go in by hand. So what I've done is I've left this in the freezer for the last 6 hours. And I've just had the heat go on this for a couple of minutes in the vain hopes that this will help slide this in. So we will see. They're both lubed up. Let's see how we get on. Just work that in. Oh, lovely. Look at that. Ooh, it's hot, 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 hot. Lovely, look at that. Now we just... Oh, come on, you bucket. There we go. There we are. Right, that's index, that's right in there, lovely, right to that shelf, right to that shoulder, lovely. Wipe off any excess grease on there, we'll clean up the inside later on. Just wipe off that excess grease, absolutely wonderful. Right, next step, let's get this out the way, look. Right, next step then is to actually put your barrel nut on. Now, with the Daniel Defense, you have two parts to this. You have your bolt up little bracket here, and then your barrel nut actually sits and clamps that to the gun, so we don't want to forget about that. So that goes on first, sits there, and then we have the barrel nut to put on, and again I'm just going to put a little bit of grease on the threads of them, just to stop them seizing. Like I say, some people say you want some anti-seize or whatever. Nobody really gives a fuck, to be honest. Once it's torqued up, it's not going to go anywhere, and this will make it nice and easy to get off. I've never had a problem getting one off, whether it's been lubed or not, to be honest. So we've got some grease on our threads there. We've got our bolt up bracket on there as well. We'll just slide this barrel nut over. There we go. And we put it on hand tight to start with. So I'll just tighten that all the way up. There we go. Hand tight. That's another. Right, so once you've actually got that nut sat on there hand tight, the next thing we're going to do is to start torquing it up. Now, if you've got a standard mil-spec barrel nut, torque settings are between 30 to 80 foot-pounds. Now, if you know anything about torque, that is an enormous fucking range of torque. And the reason that is because on a regular AR-15, a gas-operated one, you'd have a gas tube that would come top dead centre, and it'd have to sit somewhere in between them teeth. So if the teeth don't quite line up, you'll have to put a little bit more torque on it to spin it round and get your gas tube lined up. But luckily, if you live in the UK, the government have thought about that and they've banned you having a gas tube. So, you know, kudos to them for that. So we don't have that worry. But if you're running something proprietary like the Daniel Defense or another manufacturer, they'll often issue their own torque settings for the barrel nuts. So in terms of this Daniel Defense, they say it should be torqued up to 55 foot-pounds, which interestingly is right smack in the middle of 30 and 80. That's not interesting, is it, unless you're a fucking absolute nerd like me. But anyway, yeah, they'll issue their own torque settings for it. So when we start torquing up the barrel nut, if we imagine this is a brand new receiver, a brand new barrel nut, what we want to do is start right at the bottom end of that torque, so around 30 foot-pounds, and just tighten it up and then let it off, tighten it up and let it off. Just do that a couple of times just to help kind of bed them threads together, and then we can, after you've done that 2 or 3 times, you can go for it and apply the actual factory amount of torque, the recommended amount of torque, should I say. So we're going to pretend that this is a brand new receiver and a brand new barrel nut, and we're putting them on for the first time. So we're going to set this torque to about this torque wrench, sorry, to about 30 foot-pounds. Now this one actually only goes down to 40, so we've wound it right off as far as it'll go. Set to about 40 foot-pounds. We are going to put our wrench on. Now when you, oh God, I'm going to have to do this bit high. Jesus fuck, right. If you know anything about using a torque wrench with attachments, you know that your torque is applied. So you set your torque, say, let's say we set this at 50 foot-pounds. We go to apply our torque with our wrench, where I'm trying to get this in shot look. So we apply our torque here, click, we've applied 50 foot-pounds right here. If we though stick an attachment on this, look, and the nut we're tightening up is further over here, where this attachment could be coming out this far, so we're applying torque about here. Click, we're actually applying a lot more torque than 50 foot-pounds because we're further away from this point. And likewise, if your attachment is closer to the point you're applying the torque, you're going to be applying less torque. So if this was set for 50 foot-pounds, you might be applying maybe 45, 47, something like that there. And likewise there with 55, 60, something like that. So the way we get around that is to set the tool at 90 degrees. If we try and set that, there we go, look, exactly 90 degrees. It doesn't matter how long this tool is then, once it's at 90 degrees and we apply that torque, bang, you're getting the exact amount of torque. So, enough talking. Hey, enough talking. That was a good joke, wasn't it? Proper dad joke, that. Right, let's try and sit these on, look, Jesus fucking thing. I hate these tools. There we go, right, so we're set on. We're set for about, like I say, 40-ish foot-pounds. This tool doesn't go much lower than that. So we're just going to nice and gently, there we go, look. And then we're going to back that off. Right, so we're just going to use this other wrench just to back that off. Don't need to use a torque wrench for that because we're just loosening it off. There we go. Let's hand tight again. Then we're going to apply that low amount of torque again. It says, there we go. And click. Okay, so we'll do that 2 or 3 times. Then we're going to actually set our wrench to the desired amount of torque we want to for the final installation, which in terms of the Danny Defence is, that'll do, 55 foot-pounds. Make sure our tool is sat at 90 degrees exactly, so we're getting the right amount of torque. And then gracefully sit it on, look at this. Gracefully sit it on, oh you twat. Right, so we're sat on, we are set at 50 foot-pounds, and we're just going to torque that up now. Watch your fingers. Nice and gentle. Nice and gentle. Oh, right, there she goes. Let's give her one more go. There she goes, 55 foot-pounds. Sorted. Right, so that's our actual barrel installed in our upper receiver, torqued up. Just might have a little bit of extra grease, excess grease, sorry, on there just to wipe off. Clean that up a little bit. Then we want to install our handguard, which in the case of the Danny Defence, you just slide straight over that barrel. So now our handguard's on, we've just got 4 bolts to bang onto this. Some people will use Loctite, but I'm not going to bother because I'll probably be taking this off sometime soon. We'll line it up as best we can. Now these do have torque settings as well, these bolts on the handguard. I think these are something like 18-inch pounds. So what we'll do is we'll just torque them up. Click. 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 Voila. Done. Good as gold, that. Right, so we've got our barrel and our handguard fully installed on the upper. We can start rebuilding the rifle now. Simple as that. Banging all the other bits and pieces on it. I won't show you that because it's really fucking boring. So let's fast forward to the finished product. And boom, just like that. One complete built rifle. Cheers for watching, guys. You may... Oh shit. Let's fucking stop that take. Fucked it already.